Hey again everyone, how's it going? This is Rex here, and welcome back to finally another GameX tutorial. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for this, and I've been getting a lot of messages, a lot of comments on when the next GMT is going to be, and really just any video for that matter. And I know it's been like a month and a half or something since I've really updated my channel at all. I mean, I've replied to a couple comments and stuff, but basically it has just been a long time since I've done anything on the old Rex Furry channel here. So, for those of you wondering why it's been so long story short, I basically moved and it took the internet like a long time to get set up, longer than it should have actually. And, oh, hang on a second, I just realized it's kind of moved out of the way. Go and just bring this down a bit here. There we go. And gonna move this over. There we go. Okay, nice and in here. Actually, let me go and raise this up a bit. Okay. There we go. Okay, I don't know what happened actually. That was really very old indeed. But nonetheless, that's basically what happened and why it's been so long since I've updated. Also, my voice is a little shot since I went to like a whole tech event thing and was in charge of a group of kids and stuff like yesterday. And anyway, so that's basically why my voice is kind of meh. And that's also why or not that, but what I told you guys before, why I haven't uploaded anything for a long freaking time. So, nonetheless, let's go ahead and get to the tutorial right here because that is what you guys are, of course, waiting for. And as always, let's go ahead and start by running the engine here that I've created to show you guys what all we are dealing with today. Now, as by the title, or as the title states, you guys will notice that we're doing Koopa Troopas today. Yay! From the Mario games. If you are indeed familiar with what those are, which most likely you are, or else you wouldn't have clicked on this video. But anyway, this was a requested tutorial, and really quick, if you guys have any tutorials that you would like me to do, feel free to leave a comment on this video or send me a PM, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can, and all of that good stuff. But nonetheless, as you guys will see here, I have my little Mario sprite here, such as it were, and my cool little Mario-inspired ground sprites and all that fun little stuff. And if we click anywhere on the room here, you'll notice I've created so that it creates a little Koopa Troopa. There it goes. And, well, I'm not really going to catch up to him now, am I? Let's go ahead and create another one. But basically, he just kind of waddles to the left, and we can jump on him, and he goes into his little shell form. And depending on what direction we are facing, and basically when we're at that direction, we jump on top of him, that is which way he will go. So, since I'm on the right side, let's go ahead and jump of him from the right side. Whoop! There he goes. So he goes to the right, and he goes out of the room and gets deleted just so we don't get a whole bunch of lag like hundreds of years later when there's like a million of those guys kind of stacked up outside the room. But let's go ahead and do this one more time. Jump on him, and from the left side this time. Whoa, there he goes. And right past those blocks, that's actually intentional. And, yeah, that's basically what we're going to be doing today. Excuse me. Really quickly, though, I want to show you guys one more thing. If we create a Koopa Troopa between these like little barricades here, you'll notice that unlike when he kind of drops onto the regular ground, he actually goes back and forth, as well as like both for his direction and for his image, his like sprite image. And that's because we actually have a different collision system set up right here and right here, which I'll get into in a little bit as we go through the tutorial. But yeah, that in a nutshell is what we're going to be doing today. So, nonetheless, let's go ahead and head back into GameMaker here and see how this is all made possible. Now, one thing, I know this is the last thing, guys, I want to get out of the way before we actually start going to the tutorial. Some of the things that I've done here, just the way I've done them, may seem a bit overwhelming at first, just because there's so many like events and whatnot. But worry not, because the actual code and actions that are inside these events really are not that complicated at all. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and begin, shall we? Let's start off with the sprites here. Nothing really to note with the sprites besides the Koopas and the collision, I guess, which I guess is almost everything with the sprites, so yeah. Anyways, you're going to want to have two sprites for your regular Koopa, and they're both going to be like walking sprites. So as you can see here, I've created a Koopa walking sprite for the left side, and then I went ahead and copied it over for the right side. I basically just flipped the images, as you guys can see here. And then you're going to want to have one more image or sprite for the Koopa here, and it's just going to be him, excuse me, in his shell. So as you guys can see here, I basically just cut it in half and kind of plop the shell down there. Now, one thing that you guys may or may not have noticed is right here it says modified. That's basically just because I modified the mask right here to make it a full image. So the area that is going to be collidable for this sprite is the whole entire thing. Rather than going to like manual and doing something or like full image and just doing precise, I just went rectangle and it covers this entire area. So if you collide with anything in this whole entire sprite, it's going to take effect. So that's basically what I did for that. And then for the shell, I pretty much did the same thing. Whoops. But I just did, because I halved the sprite, we don't want you to like jump somewhere over on top of here, right? And then everything to take place, we want it to happen down here where the actual sprite is. So I just went manual, rectangle from the bottom, and then created a new, let's redo that here, a new mask. So that is how that is done. Just in case you guys were wondering, okay? So, moving right on to the collisions here, you'll notice we have two collision sprites, a collision reg and a collision rev. And as you guys can see here, they are both kind of, these are the collision revs and these are the collision raves, or regs, excuse me. And they're both different colors just so I can kind of distinguish between the two. And it's probably pretty self-eminent on what they do, but just to explain, the Rev collision is the blue one, and that's so when our Koopa collides with it, he kind of walks the other way as well as changes sprites. And then the regular one is just regular. So basically, if our Koopa was walking and he fell on the regular, he wouldn't like change direction and stuff. So basically, that is how I did that. You can do it however you want to do it, but I just find this just simplistic and, you know, that's mainly why I did it the way I did, okay? And moving on to the backgrounds, nothing really to note here. They're just the backgrounds just to make this example and this tutorial look somewhat nice. And let's go ahead and head over to the objects, starting off with the player here. Nothing really to note in the player, just your average kind of, I mean, like, and here we have gravity, here we have collision, and here we have like our jumping thing. One thing we do want to do though is in the create event, there is a variable that I've set up called right, and I've set it to true for now, and this is basically saying that when our player is created, this variable right is going to be active. Yeah? So we're saying that he's facing the right direction, and you could swap this over to left, I guess, but I mean, I'm not going to do it right now just because it take a while. But just know that for now, we have a right variable in our player. And just so you guys are, just to kind of cool your curiosity if you have any, this is all what's in here. Just simple movement code that I put for the sake of the tutorial, simple gravity in D&D, and let's see, simple collision. There we are. And simple jumping. Alright, so that is that. Let's go and hit OK, go to the next object, finally to the Koopa object, as a lot of you guys are probably mainly waiting for. So in the create event, I have a little code. Let me go and drag this over. Game Maker Studio. So essentially what this code is doing, if you can't tell already, is setting up all these sprites and the initial speed in which our Koopa is going to go in. And so basically we're just setting up our sprite to go to image speed 3 because I only have 2 images in our sprite, so I don't want to go like super fast between the two. And then our H speed here is how fast our Koopa is going to start walking when he is created. So if you replace this 3 with like 10, he's going to obviously go super fast, so I'm just going to keep it at 3 for now, but you can change that if you like. And the code should be in the description as well, unless it's like YouTube has a symbol problem. They're like, I don't like the symbol of this code. It will be in a paste bin in the description. So if anything, the code should be in something in the description, just in case you guys are curious. Right, so step event, again, just very simple gravity in D&D, and yeah. Alright, and collision with the player. Now, there is a little bit of code here, and I will explain it to you all. Now, if you don't get it already, basically what we're doing here is if other.vSpeed is more than 0, so if basically if our player move this over here, is above, that's saying for players above our Koopa object, then this is going to happen. This over here is basically just a little more detail specifying like how high and stuff like that. You could actually probably just get rid of it like this, and then just get rid of the parenthesis over here and over here. And you could do it like that, but I don't know, I just felt like specifying it, I guess. So there we go. But yeah, that's how you want to get rid of it if you guys want to get rid of this little end bit. But nonetheless, and basically, what's going to happen is when our player jumps on top of our sprite, or of our Koopa, excuse me, he has a little bounce here. This V speed basically makes him go up by 5. So it's almost like you're going to jump on him and then bounce off him a little bit. And then below here, we have, since there's no other dot, which, by the way, this other you could replace with obj_player if you wanted to. I just left it other because I was testing some things, and yeah. This little dot here signifies like whatever's before the dot, that's going to be the object that is being affected, just so you guys know, if you didn't know that already. All right, just going to undo that. There we go. Okay, so since there's not a dot and then something before the dot on this instance change, this basically means that it's actually affecting the actual object itself, so the Koopa. So when we jump on top of the Koopa, our little player goes up by 5, like a little bounce, and the Koopa changes into a shell, and the events of that shell object are going to be true, which means they do take effect. Now, really quickly, I mean, I don't really want to take too long on this, but basically, you could do this all of inside the one Koopa object, like make them turn into the shell and everything inside just this one Koopa object instead of having a separate shell object. I just like to have them both separate because it's not so cumbersome with like the whole bunch of code and stuff, and I just like to work with that better. But you know, you could do it all in here just so you guys know. Alright, and also if enough people ask, then I might show you guys how to do that, like in a comment or something, but for now, I think it's just fine with 2 objects. Okay, so that is basically that. Now, the collision is basically just regular collision, nothing too fancy here. As you guys can see, simple D&D collision. If you guys have your own collision system, feel free to put it there. It won't make a difference. Or at least it shouldn't if it's a correct collision. Alright, anyway. With the collision rev now, as I told you guys earlier, this is where if our Koopa collides with the blue collision, our collision rev, he will turn the opposite direction as well as like face the opposite direction. So same things here, regular collision as well as a reverse direction, and some code here which just changes the way he's facing. And but also just a little test here, as you can see, if sprite index equals SPR Koopa walk L. So if he's currently walking left and he collides with this collision, then he's going to go right. Simple as that. And then else, so if he's not walking left, if he's walking right, then he'll just go left. And GameMaker will figure out the rest from there on. So, I mean, just from this. Alright, so that's how that works. Now, this right pressed, I didn't really show you guys this in the actual kind of demo example in the beginning, but I basically just put this here, so if we right-click on our Koopa, it deletes him, which this kind of corresponds with the Koopa create object, so when we left-click, we actually create a Koopa, so it's not needed. You can actually get rid of it, but I'll just show you guys what it works with once we finally get to that point, okay? So the outside room is just for kind of lag purposes, even though it's probably not even going to affect anything. Like, you could probably leave this running for a good amount of time and you wouldn't have a noticeable difference, but just in case, I mean, it's always nice to have this. If our Koopa goes outside of the room, he just gets deleted. So we don't have like a whole bunch of Koopas piling up outside of our room. Okay, so that's basically what that does. Alright, moving on to the collision. Really nothing going on here. Just the collision sprite and solid. That's really it. Same thing, excuse me, for the collision rev, which actually for this collision here, I forgot to name _reg. But it really doesn't matter, so yeah. Alright, and last, but certainly not least, the obj_Koopa_create object. Pretty self-explanatory. We have a global left pressed event here, which basically means if you click anywhere in the room, this is going to take place, and it basically just creates our Koopa. So yeah. That's basically what it does. And we can just create like infinite Koopas. And as I said earlier, the right click is there, so you can just delete a Koopa. But you can actually get rid of the Koopa create as well as the right click thing for the Koopa, or not the Koopa shell, the Koopa. There we go. So you can get rid of this right pressed here, okay? And that should do it. That's pretty much it. How you create this little Koopa Troopa example thingamajig. Now, I know some of the things, as I said earlier, are kind of like put in weird ways, and there's some D&D and stuff. You could, of course, shorten that down all to code, but I just like to leave it open because it's a lot easier and stuff like that. So anyways, that's it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. There will hopefully be more soon. I actually have a job now, so I do go to work, and so it does take up some more of my time, but I will try to get out a lot more tutorials and just videos in general soon. So thank you for enduring all this time with me and not putting out any stuff. But yeah, I guess that's it. I don't want to continue on and just end up rambling, so I better end it off here before it gets to that point. So thank you guys for watching. Feel free to leave a comment or question as a comment below and stuff, and hopefully this tutorial helped you out. And until next time, until next video, this has been Rex Furry, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Excuse me. That was a weird, like, next time. Next time! There we go. Alright, well, I'll see you guys later. Have a good day.